Hey guys, welcome back. Before we properly get into today's episode, there's something I need to do. Ta-da! It's so Christmassy. Okay, it's nothing amazing, but I think this place deserves to get a little bit spruced up for Christmas, even if I'm not in the overworld that much these days, and considering we don't have any of the modded blocks that we have in Vault Hunters, and I didn't spend too long on this, I think it's actually not too bad. So I think this should do the trick. But I am getting off topic, because now we're all decked out for the holidays, we need to properly get into today's episode. Because today is the day we're finally going to get started on filling out the void around the hub to really try and make this place feel alive and like it's part of a proper universe. Now, I mentioned last episode that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull this off, and I'm really not. But before we start, I think it's probably worth quickly talking about what I have in mind for this. And the main goal, as you might expect, is just to fill out some of this emptiness, so there's something to look at outside of here. But I guess on a more specific level, I want to fill this out with different planets, galaxies, and stars, as well as a couple of other things I designed, so it feels varied and lively. And I honestly have no idea how much I'm going to get done in this episode. I'm hoping I'll at least get a decent chunk of what I have planned and done, so we actually get to see how it's all looking, but we'll see how it goes. And one thing to mention is that given the render distance of Minecraft, the perspective and relative size of these things is definitely one of my main concerns. I really want to make it feel like some of these things are really far away while others are relatively close, and I'm hoping I'll manage that, but that's definitely one of the things that will be a learning curve for this part of the project. But a learning curve always has to start somewhere, so let's get this thing started. I can't lie, this is coming out exactly like I'd hoped. I mean, as expected, it's a bit of a pain to build at all, and I've had to decimate quite a few trees to get all of the leaves that I've been using for scaffolding, but it is looking so good. Admittedly, most of what I managed to build this time is directly above the hub, so what I was saying before about the render distance and perspective doesn't necessarily come into play as much, but there are a couple of places where it does happen. So if you look at this big blue galaxy here and then I walk off, it becomes this very faint black outline, which you can hardly see and is actually kind of a cool effect. It's very subtle, but when you see it, it looks pretty cool. And then the other place this happens is over here with what I've been calling the giant galaxy shard, and if I start walking forward, you'll see that you suddenly start seeing this just dark shape like we saw with that galaxy earlier. And then as we move forward, the colours start to come in until you can see it fully rendered in. And this is like the sort of... Oh, there's a shrieker right there. Let's go away from the shrieker. This is the sort of effect that I'm really hoping to play around more with as I start to actually fill out the sides of this hub, because it's mostly this moment here where it goes from being a dark shadow to having sort of faint colours, and then the colours just become brighter and brighter as you walk further. I just love the way that looks, and it just looks really cool. It's got such a nice effect. And while... Yes, hello, goodbye. And while I won't show you in detail like every single tiny planet that we built, I do want to show you some of my favourite bits that I've built so far, and one of them is this giant galaxy shard. It was kind of inspired by those pictures you see sometimes of the Milky Way where it's been taken from Earth, and it kind of looks like this ripple across the sky, and I loved that idea, so I tried to make it here, and while it's not like scientifically accurate or anything, I do think the effect of it is pretty nice. Another of my favourite pieces is this blue galaxy that we were looking at earlier. And apologies for using the Freecam, but it's very hard to show you guys these things properly when I'm using fireworks to fire around. But like with the shard, I tried to base most of the galaxies I built off shapes of actual galaxies that do exist. So this one is kind of designed after a medium-barred spiral galaxy, and there is something about the shape of this which I just absolutely love. Then we have my little attempt at a space station type thing, which is very simple, but I think quite effective. And when you view it from above, it really does feel like a satellite or a space station, with the daylight sensors really giving it a bit of a lift. And probably my favourite planet that I've built so far is this one, which I'm sure many of you will recognise as a slight spin on a traditional skyblock starter island. I just love the idea of having these little Easter eggs hidden out in the space, and having a skyblock island floating out in the void just seemed like the perfect addition to this project. And apart from that, I think the main thing you can see with everything that I've built so far is mostly just the variety that I'm aiming for, both in terms of like the size and colour, but also the material, and trying to give the impression of very different planets with different ecosystems and everything. Like, it's important to both add colour to the project, but also, as I've said many times at this point, I really do want to make it feel like it's part of a wider universe. And obviously, the illusion is slightly shattered when you can just fly up 50 blocks and basically stand on top of a galaxy, but from down on the ground, if I really try and put that idea out of my mind, I do think that some of the things feel more distant, which is exactly what I've been going for. Obviously, there is a lot more work to be done to fill out the sides of this project and really try and get everything together, but I have to say, I am so happy with how it's all going so far, and I really hope you guys like it too. These things are never going to be perfect, but honestly, perfection isn't my aim, as you could probably tell by my earlier Christmas decorating. But yeah, I always want to make my aim be happiness, basically. Does it make me happy? Would spending more time on this make me happier in the long run? I'll pretty much always put more time in if I think the trade-off is worth it. But as it is, what I've built so far has brought a huge smile to my face, so we'll just keep on trucking along and see where we end up. But speaking of trucking along, I'm going to have to leave this episode here. I am immensely happy with what we got done today. I really didn't know how much I'd actually get done in this episode, and considering I think we built 21 things in the end, we did pretty well. And next time, I'm actually not entirely sure what we'll get up to. It will be about 2 days after Christmas the next time this series comes around, so I'll have to see how time goes, but I'm sure I'll have something for you, whether it's continuing to fill up the void or some other thing that I've thought of. We'll just have to wait and see. So until then, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!